Of course! That was your foul.
It is never fun when a favorite show ends, and for most of us, we always hope that we can get at least one more season. Longmire is a crime drama that is set in the fictional town in Wyoming, and it follows Sheriff Walt Longmire and his friends and family while he tries to solve crimes in his area. It is a show with a lot of fans, but it has been a while since season 6 aired, so the question on fans' minds is, are we ever going to see more of Longmire? So let's find out. Is Longmire season 7 canceled? Here's what you need to know. Warning, some spoilers ahead. Please remember to give this video a like if you enjoy it, and then subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. That way you will never miss a thing. Third season Cancellation. The show started out on the A&E network and it did really well and quickly became a fan favorite. In fact, it was a show that was ranked the highest rated original drama series for the network, so the ratings were really great compared to other shows on the network. Yet, even with all of these great ratings and with the love of the fans, the show was canceled after the third season. Fans feared that they would never get a proper ending that the show deserved. Then it was put up for offer and Netflix slid in and saved the day. They gave new hope to the fans and allowed the show to continue for 3 more seasons that they released on Netflix. The last season on Netflix was season 6, and that was released all the way back in 2017. So will there be more? Will there be a season 7 of Longmire? The short answer is no. Sadly, when Netflix announced the renewal of the show for season 6, they also announced that the season 6 would be their last. It gave the show warning about the end. Fans might have hoped that the ending would be pushed back again, but that didn't happen, and it seems like season 6 will be the last, at least for now. But while we will explore the options that there might be for Longmire in the future, first, we're going to look at the reasons why that the show was canceled in the first place. No one has ever given an exact reason why the decision came to an end the show, but there are a lot of reasons why any show does get canceled. And for Longmire, chances are that it was a bit of a combination of different reasons. So we're going to explore some of these reasons and see if we can find some answers. Were the ratings bad? Most of the time, one of the biggest reasons that a show gets canceled is because there aren't enough people watching it to make it viable for the network. When the show was on the A&E network, it wasn't the highest rated show to ever hit our television screens. At the time, there were a few shows that had a bigger following, but at the same time, this didn't mean that Longmire had bad ratings. Like we already said, it was the most watched drama for the network and the numbers were pretty good. It definitely had a pretty solid following and it had a lot of fans. Still, the network decided to cancel even with pretty good numbers. Then it moved to Netflix, and since then we aren't really sure just how well it did. Netflix is notorious for not sharing the numbers with anyone, so we can never know for sure just what the ratings for one of their shows are. Despite this, the crime drama did make some of the highest rated lists on Netflix through the years, so it seems like it did at least as well on ratings in the last few seasons than it did on the traditional network. Chances are that ratings were not the main reason why Netflix decided that it was time to pull the plug. It might have been a small factor, but not the biggest reason. They covered most of the source material. This show was based off of a series of books. The book series, called the Longmire Mystery Series, was written by Craig Johnson, and the show followed many of the stories and plots that happened in the books, but there are only a limited amount of stories contained in these books, and it seems that the show had pretty much completed this limited amount of plot points and had converted them all to screen. So if their source material was almost completely done, then the creators and writers would have a choice to make. They could end the show and complete the story as it was completed in the books, or they could continue the story and create new stories based on the characters. So this might be a major reason that the show did end. They might have decided to end the show while there was still source material left, and to rather end the show while fans still adored it and wanted more instead of dragging it out until fans got tired and bored of it. So we might not know for sure that this was one of the factors in completing Longmire, but it does sound plausible that it had something to do with the choice. Cast contracts. Another factor could have been that the cast contracts only extended up to season 6, so this might have been a deadline for the show. Obviously, the fact that cast contracts are up is never just an automatic ending to any show. There is always the option of negotiating new contracts. For many shows, these contracts are renewed many times through the years, but in this case, it could have played a little bit of a factor. It could have been an indication that the show was only supposed to continue up until season 6 in the first place. They could have planned on ending the show after season 6 because the contracts combined with the fact that that they only had material up to season 6. Both give an indication of this. So these clues put together can give the idea that even if they didn't share with fans right from the start, that they knew that the show would probably end by the end of season 6. But the ending of the contracts might have been connected to another factor that could have led to the conclusion of Longmire: the price of creating the show. The longer a series continues, the more expensive it generally gets to make it, and the contract's ending might have added to this price tag. Normally, when a show is more mainstream and has continued for a while, the stars of the show obviously expect a bit of a raise in their salaries. In any job, you would expect to get a raise if you have worked there for so many years, so this might not have been the only added expense. With each year that passes, fans expect a show to keep surprising them and keep getting better, so this can mean that they need a larger budget. This can also combine to mean that the show becomes more expensive to make, and the network has to start considering it if it is worth to continue making it. It is possible that Longmire just became more expensive to make than Netflix thought it was worth, and they decided to call it a day. Satisfying conclusion. One of the really great things about the series being canceled before season 6 airing was that the show did have time to plan the ending. Sometimes shows get canceled after the last episode has already aired, and then fans are left with major cliffhangers that never get resolved and fans never get closure. So, getting the news before the last season started shooting was very important because it gave them a chance to give fans a really satisfying conclusion. And most fans do agree that they were really happy with how Longmire ended and where all of the characters ended up. So if you wanted to watch the show, but you were scared that it was going to end on a cliffhanger, then you can be rest assured that it does conclude how creators wanted it to end. But that doesn't mean that fans wouldn't love to see more of these characters and stories. Reboots or spin-offs. No one has completely ruled out the idea that Longmire could continue on a different form sometime in the future. With Walt retiring at the end of the show, it concluded his time as sheriff, but that wasn't the end of a Longmire at the helm of things. Katee takes up her father's mantle and she is running for sheriff at the conclusion of the show, so the story does have the possibility of continuing in that form. Katee is already a much loved character, so most fans agree that it would be fun to see how things are with her as the sheriff. That is the only way that they could reboot the show or create another version, but there are many other routes that they could follow to make this happen. Either way, for the show to be continued, the timing would need to be perfect. They could start the show with a completely new cast, but for that to happen, a bit of time would have to have lapsed after the show is ended. Otherwise, it could be too soon for fans to get behind. But if they do want to use the original characters, then they will need to make sure that the cast is available for the show, and that can come with its own difficulties too. Most of the cast has moved on since Longmire had ended. The show seemed to have been a great spotlight for most of the cast, and they have been pretty busy since it ended. And it is not surprising, they are really great actors. For example, Robert Taylor, who plays Sheriff Walt Longmire, has been in a number of movies since then, and Katee Sackhoff, who plays Vic Moretti, has been pretty much been working on different shows non-stop, and the rest of the cast has been equally busy. It will take a lot of planning to get the show going again, but never say never. We can always hope. Thanks for watching.